Hi, we're ready to move on to the next stage of the coursework. And so I want to explain why we do coursework, because if you understand why we do coursework, you'll explain what we're going to do. You'll understand what we're going to do. So the purpose of coursework is so that you understand and can demonstrate the skills that academic, published university historians use. Um, so that some of you, if you want, could be academic historians in the future. So it really is um, historian boot camp. And so if you think of a historian, and if you imagine that a historian is interested in the Pilgrimage of Grace, and they publish a book on the Pilgrimage of Grace, then they'll first of all research, so they know the story. They will find out what other historians have said about the Pilgrimage of Grace, so they will analyse what other historians have said, and they will weigh up the strengths and the weaknesses of what other historians have said, and they'll weigh up the evidence that other historians have used to make those judgments. And then what historians will do is publish their own book with their interpretation of the main causes of the Pilgrimage of Grace. So that's what historians do, and what you're doing is demonstrating those skills on a smaller level. So basically what you are going to be doing, your piece of coursework, is in essence a small book, a small publication on the Pilgrimage of Grace, but rather than be 300 pages long, it might be 8 or 9 pages long, but the basic structure is still the same. So that's why we are doing coursework. So the next step for you guys is going to be, now that you know the story of the Pilgrimage of Grace, is to explore different historical interpretations, what different historians are saying about the Pilgrimage of Grace, and then you are going to weigh up the relative merits of what those historians are saying. Okay, so in terms of what you've got to do, you're going to have to do some research. So the document that I've sent to you all, that is I think 300 and odd pages long. I think it's from an American university where someone is exploring the role of the northern clergy. Within that, there are about 48 pages that deal with what different historians have said about the Pilgrimage of Grace in terms of what caused it. So you're going to need to read that, and you are going to need to identify maybe a couple of historians who are saying it's mainly economic, a couple of historians who are saying it's mainly political, and a couple of historians who are saying it's mainly religious. You need to know who those historians are. You need to know what books they wrote. You need to know what they are saying, and you need to understand the strengths and the weaknesses of their arguments. So that's the next task, and ideally you want to have at least 2 published historians for each side of the argument, and you need to read not only the 48 pages on that document, but you need to start doing some reading based on what those historians are saying, so actually reading some of the books. Okay, so that's where we're going to go next with this piece of work.